Hello, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where I play amazing tabletop role playing games with friends. It's Sunday for me as we record this. So, this is the Intercontinental Group of Awesome. So named because we span two continents and a big ocean separates a number of us. There are some of the players in Europe and some in the North America in the US, USicans. And we get together on Sundays. I don't know why I started to say Saturday. Get together on Sundays and we play tabletop RPGs together. We are kicking off a new series of a superhero, an adult, like grown ass adult superhero series using Powered by the Apocalypse as the engine. The game is called Power Beyond Doubt, and it is written by Jen Kitzman, who's among us. So we have a designer with us. It's big stuff, friends. You talk to the person who books all these high profile gaming luminaries.
All your complaints go directly to me.
You do have to join our Patreon to be able to complain, though, just so you know. So Power Beyond Doubt is, like, I think Project Lycra was its working name for a while. Power Beyond Doubt is the current title of it. It's a grown-up supers with feels kind of game that Jen's worked on for a while. Put out a full PDF of the moves and MC stuff, and this is the first time we've played it in a little while. So I'm very excited to kick it back into action. Now, there have been a couple of times that we've gotten together. Number one, to talk about the setting. That was Alex and I. We just chatted about some ideas that we had. Jen was part of that. And then y'all got together last week when I was unable to join you and mostly finished up your characters. Like, I think they're pretty much ready to go. Let me first talk a little bit about our premise or the setting stuff. Is the idea that it's going to be a modern setting, superheroes, but superheroes and aliens. Like, that's a bit of the mashup. And then the third piece of that, to have a triangle, is that Atlantis, the kingdom of Atlantis, is a thing. And I don't know if we're going to establish too many details about how long has humanity known about Atlantis. We can figure that out in play. But the Atlanteans, as we will call them, and Earthlings, like, there's some places where they have handshakes and work well together. There's probably some friction between them as well. And then, because of this is Alex's idea, and I thought it was great, the whole idea that Earthlings were reaching out into the stars and aliens decided to hear that call. And where did they come? They came to Cape Canaveral because that was the launching point. Must have been important. The place where we are playing is in the southeastern portion of the United States, in a city called Atlantica. And since we're saying that Atlantis is a thing, Atlantica is probably very directly related to that. In fact, we are going to say that Atlantis, there are Atlanteans who exist in Atlantica. And they also help and participate in the Atlantica Institute of Technology. Also, there are members of the Atlantean race, species, kingdom, who help at the Kennedy Terrestrialization Center, which, like, my shorthand for that is a little bit Men in Black. I definitely think there's some Men in Black aspects of our setting that exist in supers, and I like them. The mid movies, they're fun. I thought they became a little droll after a bit. I haven't watched the international one, even though it has some incredible actors. I just didn't hear the greatest of. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll check it someday, maybe on a flight or something. But that said, the Terrestrialization Center, which I'm probably going to call the KTC because I will F up that word a lot. It's where aliens who immigrate to Earth, this is a place where they can come and learn about the culture and go through the process of being registered, so they're not illegal aliens. Okay, good. I was waiting for Tyler to react to it because that was really bad, and someone else to react to my dad jokes. Yeah, so those are a bit of the pieces here. This was originally pitched as our B-side game, meaning that we would have a regular game, and this would be a game that we would play when not everybody could make it. So it's built with that in mind. And my vibe on this is similar to like the Justice League Unlimited and also Marvel Team Up, in that you are a loosely based team. And I remember you guys talking about this last week because they recorded it so I could pay attention to what they were doing. So we're all generally agreed that it's a thing where not everybody can show up. That's a-okay. We play with, you dance with what brung you. You play with the folks. My southern phrase is Tyler always nods, and my friends in Europe are like, what is the words that he makes no sense. So yeah, we will play with who we have, which I'm excited about because it allows us to have occasionally smaller groups, more intimate sessions, but also we can blow it up and have full page spreads and big exciting action from time to time. So that's the general gist. Is there anything, Jen, from like laying out the spread of what we've talked about that I've missed that you want to throw in?
Let's see. I think that it might be important to keep in mind that Atlantica is pretty firmly based on Miami in a lot of ways.
Not just Miami, but the GTA version of Miami.
But the GTA version of Miami. So we're stepping it back, right? So it's a few steps removed from Miami, but it's still definitely going to have, hopefully, some of that flavor, even though I know I've never been to Miami. So we might be leaning on Rich here.
You're not going to lean hard. I've never been to Miami either.
Tyler hates Miami. That's, well then. We can also change it a little bit because, there's aliens there now.
We can change it as much as we want. Actually, I just realized that I had performed a few updates to the map, so I'll add the updated version because I defined downtown and Little Mars based off y'all talking, and then the KTC where it used to be an amazing golf course.
Yep. I mean, as we all discussed in the let's talk about our characters and setting one last time before we actually play, we were like, oh, well, if you're an alien, you see that golf course, like, oh, you had some unused land set aside for this important eventuality. That's very forward thinking of you. Respect. What else?
I kept the name from GTA. There are a few things that still have the name from GTA. Sure. I think it was Vice City, I believe, because it's so great. So to the east of the KTC is still called Lynx View Heights, where all of the rich folks whose amazing golf course were taken from them by the aliens are very unhappy. Sabine is our Miami expert. Thank you, Sabine.
Good. All right.
Sabine is our, whenever you have Miami questions.
Yeah. There are a lot of gods in Miami right now. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Also, some of them got killed at a wedding. So I don't know if that's totally realistic.
Right.
Miami. But it's very sunny unless it rains, and then it's sunny again. And it's hot and humid.
That's very Jacksonville.
Very
that's
true.
A Florida thing.
Very true, all over the place. So the only other thing that I think is missing from our description of the setting is that what with aliens being terrestrialized, that space travel is more of an important part of the day-to-day economy in this setting. So we should feel free to assume that technology is bumped up a bit, but not so much that it's crazy. And it's like, well, why don't you get one of those magic boxes? And
Yeah, this ain't Star Trek. We're not gonna like teleport people wherever they want and have a thing that
Why
materializes
not?
things.
Why not? Why would
Night.
we? We do have magic. We do have magic in the world,
You
don't
do.
we?
But it's
So
not
we can-
commonplace. It's not commonplace.
No, it's not.
You could work on that if you want.
I have enough to work on.
I'm really looking forward to listening to Sabine use this character's voice. Oh, by the way, yeah, it looks like a few people have done renames. If the rest of you can
Ooh.
do renames to characters as I learn them, it will be very helpful for me. Thank you very much. I know folks watching the video won't see this. It's only on Zoom, and boy, I wish it came through. That is something I still miss about Google Hangouts, because I mean, it seems so simple that you should be able to do that thing. And I bought into Zoom during the pandemic because there were so many apps, and they had an app marketplace, and it's all for small business. None of it helps us. Yeah, overlays. How hard could it be to do overlays, Zoom?
The hardest.
Hardest. Not as successful or profitable. That's why. And I'm not going to pay you to do it, because that's not.
Capitalism is bad.
Yeah. So Power Beyond Doubt is powered by the Apocalypse game. We have several playbooks that are represented. We've chatted a lot about the setting. Let's find out a bit about our characters. I'm going to start from the right-hand side of the character keeper, mostly because of the A-list celebrity status of the game designer being here. So Jen, if you could introduce yourself and then tell us a bit about the playbook you've chosen and the character that you've made with that playbook.
Got it. Well, I'm Jen. Hello. I use she, her pronouns. I am playing as Theodora Reginhard, aka Shinnok. And she is the Untamed playbook. So the Untamed is kind of the animalistic themed power set sort of archetype of hero. They're also pretty obviously based on the bull if you've played Masks. So they're very much about getting into fights and focusing on a earthier perspective. They aren't necessarily as high-handed as a lot of other superheroes. And that is sort of their deal. Theo is a workday actress who has recently inherited the power set and role of Shinnok, which is sort of passed down among her family. In every generation, somebody gets to be the Shinnok who does fox-powered superhero things. So we get to see how she is handling this legacy throughout this game.
Now, let me ask you a question about Shinnok. Is that just a spirit that Theo embodies or holds within? There's no transformation that happens. You just you carry the power of the Shinnok. Is that how that works?
I think that's how that works. I don't want to step on Tyler's toes. Folks watching will hear about that soon enough. But yeah, so it's just something that she carries. Basically, I presume that she's powered at all times, but not costumed at all times, of course, because that would be silly. But also, since she has a magical power source, I tend to default to, I can make my costume magically appear. Convenient.
Cool. I thought it was something along that lines, but I had not asked at that point, so I just wanted to double check. So there's no transforming into Fox Lady.
No,
You're
they're
cool.
Her costume does have a big fluffy tail on it, and it probably moves the way a tail moves because that's just too fun for me and everybody. And also, I presume, like in my head, the costume hasn't changed since 1910, so it looks like this flamboyant acrobat or ballet costume, like no tutu or crinoline or anything like that, but just that sort of design ethos.
That's amazing. I love it. Cool. Do anyone else have any questions about Theo or Shinnok? All right. Well, I'm sure we'll have more questions as we play, but we will get closer to that now by going left, skipping me. I have made a character, but I'll start off GMing. And when my character is Blue Orchid, who is the Pledge Bearer playbook. He's a teen. He's a high schooler and inherited this alien superpower with this pledge that he tries his darndest to uphold because he wants to be the best hero he can. That is Blue Orchid. Next up is Tyler. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your playbook and the character you made.
Hi there, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Professor Maxwell Mannheim, but the super is Hearn the Hunter. And he is off the Paragon playbook, which is kind of the Superman-y, the super baddie, tough person, not baddie as in bad guy, but your typical Man of Steel type. And Professor Maxwell is quite the opposite of Blue Orchid in that he is not a young man. He is in his late 50s, very mild-mannered professor of archaeology and folklore. He's from England, and a few years back, I think probably for our sake, we'll say, no more than 5. He was in Wales studying some of the folklore there and was pointed into a crevice at the top of a mountain range. And in that area, he found a circle of standing stones. And as he approached in the night, he heard the baying of hounds. And forming up in the circle was Hearn the Hunter, the master of the wild hunt himself. And it's hard to say if Maxwell agreed or not, but Hearn chose Maxwell as his avatar to return to the world. And so, poor old Maxwell now has Hearn living inside of his head and body, and he transforms into a massive figure of muscle and antlers and hunting vengeance, especially at night, as that is his power sources at night. During the day, Hearn's a little wussed out, and Maxwell gets a little relief. As far as his powers go, he has superhuman strength and durability and all that sort of. He's a mega toughie. He also has flight. He has, let's see, because I have a lot of stuff. I have blasts or beams. In his case, he forms hunting spears of pure darkness and throws them at people, which are kinetic damage. He also has energy absorption of kinetic damage. So when he's hit by stuff, his body sort of absorbs it. And he has super senses, which once we get through introductions, I'd like to discuss. I'm narrowing down. He definitely has super hearing. I'd like to hear some talks later. As all good Men of Steel, he does have the old Achilles heel. He does have a vulnerability. Shh, we're not going to tell anyone, but it is mistletoe. As mentioned, he also has Hearn himself gets kind of weaker in the sunlight. A lot of what I've chosen with him thus far was boosting up the number of powers he has and also his secret identity, which I think is a very cool part of this playbook. It means that he took on a little more than double his touchstones, so people he's connected to, for his secret identity. And so there's a whole good long list, and we'll talk about those eventually. And other than that, he spends his time now at the Atlantica Institute of Technology as a professor during the day, and at night he goes out seeking those who have done evil and hunting them down, running them to bay, and he tries to capture them. Hearn has somewhat different ideas of what you do when you finally bring your prey to heel, but thus far Maxwell has kept the killing very, very low, and always, of course, very in self-defense. But Maxwell's a little worried that Hearn is getting more powerful, and he struggles constantly to kind of tamp Hearn back.
Well, that is just a little bit spooky. I'm getting some, not quite the split, but I'm getting some interesting Sentry Marvel character Sentry vibes from Hearn the
I
Hunter.
also modeled him very strongly off of Dr. Fate and the Naboo, Naboo, the helmet. And that's a thought. And Moon Knight is also hitting me
Very
a
cool.
bit.
Very cool.
Now,
Yeah, I
since it's
definitely, now
irrelevant.
that you mention it, Dr. Fate for sure. If you have not watched the latest season of Young Justice, there is a lot of Dr. Fate in it. A lot of Fate. A lot. Like a whole lot. Half of that
Fate.
season. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because
Before I leave on, I suppose my dearest touchstone, and probably one of the more common things you will see, will be Senwir, who is my Welsh hound. Sort of it came with the job. He really does what he wants, and I just try and make sure that I clean up, when he poos. But he's very bright and seems to be loyal. He's also a member of the Wild Hunt.
whoa. Oh yeah, let's throw in these also a member of the Wild Hunt at the end there. That's great. That is cool. So I'm going to ask this now, and then other characters may ask down the road. If Dr. at the start, where we are at the beginning of this chronicle, if Dr. Mannheim had the opportunity to rid himself of Hearn the Hunter, is that a thing that he would take?
No. At the moment, it has given him the chance to help people. And he's always been too scared to do that before. So he's sort of riding the high of that. He was always a coward, and Hearn has made him brave.
Has Hearn made him brave in the day-to-day, in the light of day, when Dr. Mannheim is at his job? Is he braver now than he was before Hearn?
Yes, it has changed his own outlook. It's unsure. He doesn't know if it's some sort of bleed over. There is Hearn in his head a lot, but at the same time, he is confident in ways that he never was before, and he does attribute that to his own advancement, not just Hearn.
Nice. I like that. That is cool. And a lot of these touchstones that you have as Dr. Mannheim have known you before Hearn, correct? Okay.
Absolutely.
Like it. Does anyone have questions for Hearn the Hunter or Dr. Maxwell Mannheim or Tyler, I guess,
I mean, yeah, it might actually be there in the touchstones. I haven't read all of them, but are the ones who know you as Maxwell are any of those touchdowns that they know that you are also Hearn the Hunter,
Oh,
or
good
is this
question.
At the
very
moment,
divided?
at the moment, the only ones who know about me being Hearn are, of course, Gazeweir. And I think I've told at least my friend, the bartender, Jax Harper. She's pretty kind of my confidant. I think
Nice.
I've hinted that something's gone on, but I have not told her that I am actually Hearn, this figure that has appeared in the city. So probably only the team and people I wish didn't know that I'm Hearn.
That's cool.
So do we know that you are Maxwell? We know you are Hearn, but we don't know you're Maxwell, right?
I think you know I'm Maxwell. We're going off the
Okay.
idea we've
Okay.
worked together before. And part of why I joined the team, when we get, I don't know if we're going through those questions at
Mhm.
some point, but my
Oh.
reason for yes.
That's a great point. I forgot that we have a whole bunch of really cool backstory questions that we could have gone through. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Your whole point.
Is the reason I'm with the team is that you accept me as both Maxwell and Hearn. You
Oh, okay.
see where Maxwell goes and does things during the day that can help
Mhm.
be heroic, but you also know he becomes Hearn.
Okay. But as Hearn, just for a question, you go more after superpowered people. You don't go after the pickpocket, right? Because that would be kind of overkill, wouldn't it?
The pickpocket almost certainly not, unless they were right in front of him and he got pissed off.
Mm.
But it is very likely that if, say, a murderer
Mhm.
came on his notice, Hearn might go on the hunt.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Good to know. You're muted, Rich.
Thank you. Good stuff. Anything from the backstory other than what you just mentioned, which I appreciate, that you wanted to highlight here during
I will
these-
say the other part of why I'm with the team is Maxwell is concerned that Hearn may get out of control, and he may not admit it to himself, but he feels like the team may be the only ones who could take him down if Maxwell lost control.
Nice. I like it. Thank you very much, Tyler. Here we come to Alex. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your playbook and the character that you made.
Yep, I'm Alex. I use he, him, and I am playing Blossom Abibi, who uses she, her. I'm playing the changed playbook, which is my favorite type of character. I get to smash things and be sad about it. So, yeah. She was, before she changed, she was working as like volunteering in a like biology clinic, like that treated alien patients, and was also studying so she could become a nurse, like a fully paid nurse in that situation, and also doing like, you know, working in a supermarket to make ends meet while doing that. While volunteering, she got infected or chosen or imbued with basically a life force parasite plant life of an alien world, and now it has slowly changed her from a mid-20s woman into a giant half plant person. She's got vines, mushrooms, leaves, stuff growing off of her. Hair is basically a big clump of moss with flowers in, and she's like 7 foot tall. Every morning when she wakes up, she has to like basically pull roots out of that she's been forming out of the ground. Some of her powers are basically massive size and strength, and transmuting flesh, which she doesn't really have a control over. It's not she's got these vines growing off her, but she can't, Mr. Fantastic through vents and grab things and such. It's just they kind of move under their own volition, adjacent to her wishes or what she's trying to do. A lot of her family have not been able to deal with this change. I don't think they've been I don't think they've tried to be hurtful and get away from us, you monster, but they've also kind of I don't get invited around. They don't seem to visit, apart from I think Tyler might be talking. I don't know. But might be muted. Anyway, and yeah, apart from her nana, who has been very loyal, and Rich, you are definitely muted.
That is twice. I'm usually like
It's usually me,
0.5
yes.
and twice in the same game. Dadgum. So the one thing I wanted to point out, because Blossom, any pictures we see of Blossom are post-transformation. She, I see in the ethnicity that she was or is Black, African American.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that. That is neat. And that means that you'll have to find a real cool pic for Nana Bebe or draw it. It's all up to you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, she's I think part of the deal with the whole transformation is she now has to take weekly mandatory checkups that are signed by the government in some form. I think she takes them has these checkups at what is the abbreviation?
The KTC.
KTC. She has to go to KTC. I think I did answer the why she's part of the team, but I think a better answer is that, a further explanation of the answer I already gave, which is I think very much why, say for the same reason she now lives kind of on the outskirts of Little Mars. It's the fact that she doesn't have to feel like she stands out. If she was amongst normal the normal people, she's stands out like a 7-foot plant woman. So amongst you guys, a little less. And that helps.
Very cool. Yes, there's some notes here about your doctor. Did you want to talk a little bit about the doctor?
Yeah, he's too young and too handsome.
What was his name again?
I think it's Dr. Handsome. I think was it's.
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering. I thought
Yeah.
I thought something. It was something.
Yeah. It was.
Dr. Handsome. HANSOM. He gets that. He's gotten that joke his whole life. It's not really funny to him. He doesn't.
Yeah,
really
he has no sense of humor either.
Yeah, he does.
Or at least he doesn't show it. He's very matter of fact and clinical about these checkups, and if Blossom could blush,
I mean, how is he going to tell?
She blooms.
She blooms. That's good. Very cool. All right. Thank you so much, Alex. And then you didn't realize, Sabine, when you chose an A named playbook, that you'd have to go last, but that's the only reason.
Yeah, it's fine. I can deal with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So unlike the others who have been chosen by several entities and stuff and things, my character was born actually with a gift of magic because his mother is the evening sorceress. Marta Morales. There's a long story why she is Asian, but comes from a Mexican family. But anyway, he was born with magic and he could have been really good at it, but he decided when he was a teenager that music was his life. Music was more important than magic, right? You have to do what you love doing. And he loved doing music. He was a pretty good guitar player, and he had a band eventually, and that was Magma, and they hit it big. They were really good. They were a fresh start, like a sort of a Latin American folk mixed with punk and a bit of metal. So yeah, that was nice. And they had a big following, and then they went into the Johnny Cash Stadium, seated 20,000 people. It was amazing. It was going to be the best day of their lives. Until the mastermind took over their singer's voice and commanded everyone to go over to the museum, the high security museum that housed a lot of alien artifacts and stuff like that, and said, hey, everyone, go over there, grab me the artifacts, bring them to the roof. And the people went. Now, I said it was high security, but it wasn't made to be secure against 20,000 people. Lots of people died. Lots of artifacts got grabbed. Miguel wasn't affected by the magic because his mother had given him tons of warts and stuff like that, but he got thrown off the stage. He got trampled nearly to death. And when he came back to his senses, he decided that, yeah, this wouldn't stand. The mastermind who had done that, they needed to answer for their crimes, and that's what he's doing. And then he started training. Started training in magic, started training martial arts. So he can do pretty good. He doesn't have the supernatural powers that others have. He's good martial artist. He's good with athletics, but he's not superhuman in either regard. The only thing he has is these sonic spirits that he can conjure, and then he can order basically to do stuff. And I mean, if you think sonic spirits don't do much, remember the walls of Jericho? It's not small what he can do, but he's still learning his feet to how to deal with his powers and how to use them. He has a teacher who is one of his mother's old students. His mother's gone for now. She's been gone for a few years. Apparently she had some debts to pay off after somebody saved her son's life. Yeah, well, so Miguel calls himself Oscuro for now because he's digging in. He needs to find the mastermind. It's not easy. There are some of the artifacts and have been disseminated, and that's the trail he's following, basically. He also, right now he can't help it. If he sees somebody who's in trouble and who needs some help, he might give it. He's not the kind of guy who calls on the cops or leaves captured people outside tied to lantern posts. That the cops probably don't like Oscuro that much, because he tends to step in when somebody who's stronger abuses somebody who's weaker. So yeah, you probably have an idea what that might look like. Yeah, so there he is. He is pretty depressed, pretty much. He's pretty torn up about the whole Johnny Cash thing. That's his whole life now, dealing with that and trying to deal with it through taking action and getting the bad guy to answer for what they did. Yeah, and therapy is, he has to go there eventually. If once he's done this thing, then we can talk about that. But no, not right now. He's got his thing. He has a tour bus, the old tour bus. It's repainted, obviously, no magma on the side anymore, but it has a very, very nice sound system. And it's big enough to seat all of us, even if Blossom and Hearn have grown to be 8 feet tall, they fit. It's a big tour bus.
Yeah, convenient,
Mm-hmm.
very practical.
Does Oscuro know that his mother disappeared to pay the debts?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
He knows that.
That's
Isidro told him. Yeah, great, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I see here that some of the band members did not survive. In fact, the only one we know for sure are El Oso Poyar and El Phoenix. Or
Yeah. Uh,
and tell us a bit about them.
Also Polar, Oscar he was hit by a bullet by the Guardians when he tried to get into the museum, and he's gone back home wherever he came from, and him and Oscar have not had a lot of contact. Miguel is pretty certain that Oscar is disabled in some way, shape, or form, but they haven't talked. That's not just because Oscar doesn't want it. It's also because Miguel doesn't want it. Doesn't know what to say. Because there was some warning before, and people were relying on, because he can do magic, right? He could do magic even back then. It was tiny little fire sprites that made light shows and effects for the show, but he never said that was all he could do, and he thinks people relied on him for magical protection. Probably they didn't, but he thinks that he should have done more, should have studied more, so he blames himself basically.
Interesting. And Marisol is in a mental care facility for now,
Yes.
mostly catatonic. How long has it been?
4 years.
4 years.
Or 3 or 4 years, yes.
3 or 4 years
Yeah.
since the attack. And how long has it been? So you say mostly catatonic. How long ago was it the last time that she woke?
I think the last time was 2 months ago, but and she didn't immediately start screaming. That was improvement, right? It was an improvement. She eventually did, but there was a little conversation the nurses said she had with the doctor, but she deteriorated very quickly again. And she's catatonic because she's mostly sedated.
Oh, goodness. And so when she woke, Oscuro wasn't there, didn't make it to her in time, didn't get that chance.
No.
So he's not spoken with her in 4 years.
He has not had a conversation with her. He talks to her when he goes to visit her.
Of course.
He talks to her, but she doesn't answer.
That is so delicious. Good. Okay. Anything else from I'm sorry, backstory?
I'm supposed to have a tragic backstory.
Somebody
wrote that in the rules. So,
well, you have done a fine job of tragicking it up. It's good. It's very good. It's almost Harsubu in some aspects here, and I think that's neat.
Thank you. That's high praise.
It is. Are there any other backstory aspects that you wanted to bring up? Like, why are you part of this team?
Well, truth is, it's very helpful to my mission to have people around me, because if I go up against super powered individuals, my ass gets kicked a lot. So I like having a team, and also I'm a bit lonely. I'm used to having a team. I was in a band for most of my life, so I'm used to that. I like having a team, even though I worry about that Hearn film.
You do, huh? Okay. I don't blame you. He worries about it, that Hearn fellow. I like it. Any questions the folks had about Oscuro? Okay. What we're going to do is take our mid-game bio break. So I'll pause recording here. All right, we are back. Now we've introduced all of our characters and talked a bit about their backstories. We have some relationships to finish up. But luckily, half the work is already done for everyone. But I'd like to finish those up. Since you had to wait so long, Oscuro, because I'm now transitioning to using the names of characters. Oscuro, Miguel, can you please tell us about your relationships, the one you already have filled out, and then the one you'd like to fill out?
Okay, so Blossom knows about my tragic origins, and I think everybody knows that I was at the Johnny Cash Stadium and trampled to bits. But not everybody knows that I was the lead guitarist of the band. Actually, that is not something Oscuros goes advertising, and he goes by Oscuro mostly, and doesn't talk about himself all that much. But Blossom recognized him from one of the posters of the band.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess Instagram, blog,
Yeah.
I was a fan.
Yeah. Oscuro doesn't know that though.
Oh, okay.
I think we talked about this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So no, he doesn't know about that. But yeah, we'll see how that comes out. And my second one is Blank has potential but needs to sharpen up. Can I change that a little? Because I feel that I would like to have Blue Orchid has potential and he needs to be protected. Like, yeah, I want him to keep believing that being good is enough. Or maybe he's right, who knows? This is just such a precious person
Feel
who's
free to hold
doing
it, yeah.
who's doing the right thing. Like I didn't, and then he needs to be protected. He's just
Aw, that's so sweet.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then
like it.
I'll rephrase that. Okay, cool.
Wonderful. Blossom, let's talk about your relationships.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
if I'd realized you were
Maxwell
eating, I would have given you more time. Sorry about that.
Well, Maxwell knew me before I changed, because I think I was I think one of the like optional. Oh, I always get confused how college works in America, because you kind of pick and choose little bits and pieces in different
Electives.
yeah, that's the thing.
Electives?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
It was
go.
one of the electives I Blossom took. It wasn't needed, of course, for what she wanted to have, her future, but she just found it really interesting and found that Maxwell was just a really engaging speaker when he, went off on his long tangents about folklore and history, and she just ate it up and loved to, ask follow-up questions. So yeah,
How great
he
did she
knew me
get?
as this,
Oh,
young lady.
I think she was very bright. He asked what grade you got. I imagined you were bright, and if you were interested, honestly, I mean, if I'm the one grading you, you wanted to hear me rattle on. So you definitely got an A.
Fantastic. I don't think I managed to finish I never finished my studies, because I got changed before that.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah.
Yep. So this nuked your college plans. That's
Mm.
rough.
Maybe there was like a few. I can imagine there might have been a few days of before the change had like made up, physical change, big physical changes, where I was still studying, and like the little features were starting to come through, and then suddenly I was like, nope, I'm done with this. I'm withdrawing from the limelight.
So just for clarification for me, just to understand Blossom better, she went off by herself. Nobody told her that, young lady, the benches can't bear you, and so please step away. The students are scared. You just said, no, I'm too weird now for everyone.
Yeah,
I don't want to face
she was
these
too
reactions.
self-conscious.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
I don't think, it might have been before other people, maybe other people just started to be like, oh, Blossom started to wear flowers in her hair. And, oh, her, have you been getting enough sun? Your skin, you're looking a bit, pink, something, little details were starting to change and draw attention.
Can I ask how you feel about that relationship now after the change? Because we've now encountered each other after you'd gone away, and I knew you then. How do you feel on that?
I think I mean, she gets the Hearn side, but it's the change to Maxwell she does find a bit unnerving, because a little bit of that kind of sweetness, sweet older man kind of vibe has kind of chipped away, maybe. I mean, it's not quite completely gone, but there is a difference.
Interesting.
But I mean, who's she to talk? She's,
Well, and that's really what I was asking, though. Not
Yeah.
not my change so much as your change. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah. How do you feel about our relationship with me having known you as the student, and now we've encountered each other after the change? Are you self-conscious about it, or?
yeah, I prefer not to talk about, being the other, what I was before. I
Ooh,
prefer not
okay.
to kind of dwell on it.
Cool.
Okay.
I mean, I don't shut it down, but I definitely am awkward around that topic.
Interesting. And then someone comforted you during a low moment.
Does anyone have a? I can imagine her having low moments all the time. So it could have been, just in downtime. It could have been literally after some sort of battle and have some sort of reaction from the public, or just my own reaction to what I did. I've got a move that's
That be
basically about
Shinnok?
smashing through walls and things. So
I could see Theo stepping in and being like, okay, everybody, show's over.
Yeah, I
Or,
mean, you've
round
got
of
the
applause for our lovely Blossom.
That's a weird way
Yeah.
to comfort.
It's a weird way to comfort, but it's sort of a,
you shits, she helped you.
yep,
Now piss off.
yeah, sort of a, hey, it's actually weird that you're treating this person this way after they took an entire brick wall to the entire body to try to help you. So maybe a little appreciation, some smiles. Come on.
Nice. I like it. Cool. Thank you. Tyler, you're up with Hearn the Hunter.
Yes, my first is Oscuro can do things you're sure you never could. And this is very much in that Maxwell viewpoint of the bravery and the dedication. And it's very much an admiration of how focused Oscuro is. So it's, Maxwell wishes that he could have the bravery Obscuro has. So that's my first one.
I like it. And then someone really makes you feel like part of the city.
I think in a weird way, that's Blossom. But anyone who wants to pick it up, but I have an idea that it fits neatly with Blossom in that I'm a foreigner in a city that I'm getting to know. She is a native in a city she's moved away from. We're both people who had something sort of inflicted on us. And I think that there's a very real sense that Blossom grounds him in the city.
Like it?
Cool.
Those two, very tight. That's interesting. I like that. You're going to be a lot of team ups. Hearn Blossom team ups. I like it. Let's do Shinnok, and then I'll fill in some gaps with Blue Orchid.
All right, sounds good. So the first one that I've gotten sorted out already is Oscuro thinks they can tell me what to do if they're wrong. And then the untaken relationship thread is you're close to blank and often follow their lead.
Oh, interesting.
And you've probably heard that, but it's not so much Oscuro telling Shanak that what she's got to do. It's more like heat of the moment stuff, right?
Mhm.
We're in the
Right.
crisis, and he takes the lead because that's what he's always done with the band. So he feels that he doesn't even think about that. If she would call him out on that, he would be like, "Oh, wow, that's not what I meant to do." But
Sure. But sometimes it just you just don't think to call these sort of things out. So it creates a dynamic where some people are pretty confused.
mhm.
Do you think
But-
that Shinnok might follow Hearn's lead? They're
Hmm.
both kind of like nature related. Okay, we got Shinnok, who is the spirit of the fox. We've got Hearn the hunter, is related to the wild hunt in some ways.
That is pretty opposed to each other, right? Because foxes, I feel maybe Blue Orchid would be the one who's actually the one, because
Following
he's so
the kids'
idealistic.
lead.
He's so
Okay.
idealistic.
He
Doesn't need
is.
to be the lead in every little thing, but maybe in the whole why
There's
we
a-
do this.
A moral leadership sort of aspect, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Where
don't.
it's like if Shinnok's undecided, she'd be like, "Well, Blue Orchid, what do you think?" before making up her mind, kind of a thing.
All
That
right.
makes good sense.
That sounds cool.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So for Blue Orchid, the relationships to offer up are blank is likely just as worthy as you. Perhaps you'll find out for sure. And blank could benefit from some additional responsibilities. So I have a take on the second one. I'm thinking that it's coming from a good-hearted place. It's Blossom could benefit from some additional responsibilities because she gets, and of course, he probably thinks the same thing about Oscuro, but he wouldn't offer that to Oscuro. But Blossom could do with some additional responsibilities because it would help to give her some focus, give her a sense of purpose, and like this is what I do, and he would imagine that could be beneficial. He would hope. Yeah. Does that make sense to you, Alex? And are you cool with it?
I am cool with it. Oh, yeah. But
Who believes that their character is likely to, that Blue Orchid would think is as likely as worthy as he is, and perhaps you'll prove it to him? Really curious about that one.
I'll throw a pitch, but people, pitch better if you want. I would pitch Maxwell in this idea that maybe Blue Orchid recognizes the struggle that Maxwell has to go through to keep Hearn in the moral compass that Maxwell has, which is similar to your pledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit darker and more aggressive than defensive, but has some similarities. But that's my pitch. There may be better.
Anyone else have a pitch?
I like that.
I do too. I think that's really cool. Maxwell, not necessarily Hearn. Interesting. I can get into that.
In fact, I noticed that of the Hearn pointed relationships, they are actually pointed at Maxwell in both cases.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell's the real hero.
Maxwell was the hero all along. Nice. All right. Are there any other setup things that folks want to settle before we jump into a bit of play?
Can I ask real quick? I
Yeah.
have an option for Super Sense. I'm choosing between Ultraviolet and Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense sounds awesome. I mean, that just seems like something I might want to do. Ultraviolet would give me a dark vision, which helps in hunting. My thought on the Sixth Sense, and I want to know if this plays like in he senses the supernatural, not like the superhuman or the mutant or the alien or the whatever, but the supernatural in the magical realm around him.
Interesting.
It narrows down a Sixth Sense. I don't know if they're thinking maybe like a Spidey sense. Well, I can ask the designers here. What
were
are you
they
thinking for Sixth?
So powers are one of the things in Power Beyond Doubt that is very table dependent.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've discussed this before. Like, for example, for Shinnok, one of Shinnok's powers is mimicry. And depending on what the table's aiming for, that could be, you know, I cast an illusion of myself and then I look just like Commissioner so-and-so. And I order the police to stand down, or it could mean I can sound just like people and that's about it. So however you think Sixth Sense should play out, that the table agrees, where, you know, in the mix of heroes that have been placed in play, that is in their scope, right? Then go for it. But yeah, Sixth Sense is meant to be kind of whatever is best utilized at the table. You know, it could be like a Spidey sense. It could be Ultraviolet sight is pretty. Oh, wait, that's not there. Magic sense is great. You know, I see ghosts is great for Sixth Sense.
Mhm.
Would
All right,
you like
well,
sensing the equivalent of being in the sea and sensing the currents? But it's like the flows of magic and, you know, ley
Yeah,
lines and
yeah.
the pull of
Yeah,
power.
it's meant to be a little bit ambiguous so that it can be molded.
Nice.
All right. Well, then, yeah, if we're good with that kind of a magic-y sense, the supernatural sense, I think that might be what I take.
Hey, you can sense my bus.
All right. That was my question. Thank you.
Cool. Do we have any other things to suss out? Hearing nothing, we will proceed. I know we have at least one start of session move, which is Hearn. Are there any other start of session moves that folks have? I don't think so, but I wanted to double check. All right, let's kick it off with dice hitting the virtual table. Always away for Hearn the Hunter.
Yes, indeed. Always away. And I'm going to pull up the roller because I was naughty to do it earlier like I'm supposed to. There it is. There we go. There you go. Boop. All right. So I am rolling. Hold down here. Sorry. Okay. So power. +1. Ooh, thank goodness for that +1. I got a 7.
Got a 7. On a 7 to 9, you hold 1. You can spend your hold 1 for 1 to take more or fewer choices on a roll result. Okay.
I think it's pretty cool. That's a neat little mechanic, Jim.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Here is where what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little bit of you are Jen, just to check with the thing you put in text. You're starting with no level rival picked out. Do you want to pick one of those two? or was that a choice that you were making and just announcing it because it's a thing you will need to choose?
I'm just announcing that that I have not chosen these things.
Okay, so you have not chosen a
But I'm
love
happy
or
to
a rival.
start without them because I can change who they are at any time.
Do you? Well, then why don't we start with at least a love or a rival?
All right, well, let's do the easy mode. I'm in love with Rory McLeod.
Cool. And I think that Rory McLeod this semester, just because I like keeping things tight, is attending Atlantica Institute of Technology. She's taking part-time because a full ride is not a thing she can afford. She's doing this on student loans. Does Rory know about Shinnok?
No.
Awesome.
That inclines me to make this more of a recent development for Theo, but there
Define
we
this.
go.
This becoming Shinnok or
Becoming Shinnok. Yeah.
recent thing? I'm into it.
Okay, cool.
Cool. All right. So I'd like to start off with, here's what we're doing. We're returning to the scene of the crime to a degree. Our opening sequence is of a music concert at Johnny Cash Stadium that Rory, being a student, even part-time, got to go to free of charge, and she talked Theo into coming along. And I'm curious, Blossom, this is one of your favorite bands or singers. What is the style of music?
Just I want to kind of get a better feel of what Miguel's music was.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
like power rock, right?
No, it wasn't power rock. It was like a folky thing of Latin American folk mixed with punk, heavy punk influence, and some rock and metal overtones. So
Oh, yeah.
it was
So
it was a bit fusiony.
Yeah, I mean,
Interesting.
that's totally Blossom's thing.
Okay.
She likes that, yeah, just that kind of folk, but with a little bit of edge brought in from other genres.
I'm now looking at grittyspanish.com's Rock Espanol, top 10 Latin and Mexican rock bands. But I don't think that's what we talked about. That was folk. It's like a folk with, I don't know. My Google foo is not
Let's just go with punk as the basis, and
Yeah.
then everything else is the overtone. But punk was
Yeah.
the starting point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Punk
So,
was basically the attitude of the music.
oh, nice. Blossom, one of maybe your second or third favorite band is playing at Johnny Cash Stadium. Are you there?
Yes, Nana kind of forced me to go and do something. She knows me enough. I think she had like a magazine or something, and she just slapped it down in front of me and like, look, you going. And
She brings you a ticket, or did she bring you a ticket? And
I don't know if she brought me a ticket.
Okay.
I mean, she might have, but I mean, I think it was more the.
It's a whole lot easier to perp walk you into having fun if she's bought you a ticket. But
Yeah, and I know, I mean, she's not poor, but
here's
I know
your ticket.
tickets are
Here's your
not
bus
cheap.
ticket.
Yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, I kind of felt guilted into doing it. She spent the money. I'm going.
Nice. So we see a few scenes of Theo and Rory heading in, and Rory's not the kind of person to fangirl over a band. She's a little too cool for that, but she's excited to be there. And I'm imagining Johnny Cash Stadium that there's a huge general audience, like general audience tickets, and if you can wind your way up towards the front, then so be it. There are probably pockets of dancers that are going on, and so Theo, do you let Rory drag you near, like keeping every song in the set, you keep gravitating closer and closer towards the front?
Yeah. I mean, that seems to be how you track down the best experience, right? Is just to be right up against the stage and have the action.
Well, that's what Rory seems to think. You pass by a pocket of people who are smoking, and you can catch the whiff of marijuana from a particular pocket. There's a group of folks that are kind of moshing, and maybe
That is way more annoying for Theo than it was a few months ago.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
The moshing.
Super senses, the smoking, the cigarette stuff. You're just like,
oh, that's cool.
my entire nasal passages.
That's amazing. And Rory has no idea. She actually would say, did you want, I noticed you looking. Did you we could probably borrow, like, I'm sure that they're passing it around.
That's good for them. That's really no. Mm-mm.
Okay. And then she grabs your hand, and you guys are just like little bit of swimming upstream, as it were, and
Yep.
avoiding elbows, and
like occasionally Rory probably tries to elbow somebody a little too big, and I'm just like, nudge.
and as you get closer, it gets hotter. The press of bodies is more and more sweaty people. The heavy smell of many folks is probably bothering Shinnok as well. Let's cut to Blossom. You come to this we'll just say it's Go-Go Bordello, because we have a name to a band, and that sounds cool. So let's just do that. That's easy. But different, but same. Different but same.
I think as I kind of get towards like where they're taking the tickets, I think I actually get nervous and veer off, and basically will King Kong up some side of building lighting rig stuff, and I kind of travel through the kind of rafters or whatever, the big silhouette of going across above the people.
Do you have experience up in the riggings?
No.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So it might be a bit awkward, but she's just trying not to break anything. And
well, this sounds so much like a role needs to be determined as you try to finagle your way in, that I have to do it. So let's talk briefly as a reminder, or as just a walking you through it, how we do a roll in this game. There are two things in basic moves. First, you need to know what stat is attached to that move. And then secondly, you need to know which track. Now, luckily, we're starting off with everyone with confidence and trust at 0. But we need to figure out your basic move. I think that what you're trying to do here is probably wield your powers.
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking.
Or escape from peril.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's the peril of people looking at me and
interesting.
and judging me, and still looking, and they're not looking away.
Okay. That is a really interesting interpretation of escape from peril. I want to roll with it because you seem to be into it. Rolling with daring, which your daring is.
I'm good at hiding from people.
You're so good at hiding from people.
Surprisingly for such a.
Let's see.
Yeah, 10.
Oh my goodness.
You're part of the landscape.
You are. Eek.
People don't tend to look up.
They don't. So you climb. What is that? What does Blossom climbing look like? Is it just pure power, like thing climbing up a side of a building? You said King Kong. Is that the vibe?
I think it's like each. I'm not like jamming my thumbs through, the structure to grip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like grabbing on where like my hand wouldn't really fit. The vines are kind of clasping on, just like instinctually as I go.
That is cool. I like that a lot.
I mean, I think some of it might be creaking from the weight, but I'm not like mangling at things with my hands as I climb.
Cool. So you make your way up to the rafters. You climb across. The music is thrumming. You can feel it underneath your feet as you walk along a few of the metal beams. And then you see up in the rafters, like a gargoyle, really, hunched over, watching this already. And as you get closer, you see through the shadows that it is Oscuro. All by himself here. What do you do?
He's probably not obscured up though.
Oh,
He
he's
might
not
just,
Oscuro?
I mean, she knows what he looks like. Even the others know what he looks like without the cowl and the hood because he's taken that off. But he's wearing dark and turtleneck and stuff like that. So it's pretty clear that this is Oscuro, but he's not wearing the costume as is.
Okay. All right.
Oscuro. Hi. Spot taken. I can go if you want it to be alone up here.
Blossom, sorry, it's fine. Just stay, please. And you can, when you come closer, you can see his face is sweaty and he's kind of shaking.
Ooh. Stressful.
Yeah, very. I mean,
Do you want to? I mean, I don't need to say. Do you want to leave?
can't.
Okay, I'll
Can you just stay, please?
I'll sit with you.
Thank you.
Right.
Just
Sit with feet dangling off the edge, I guess.
and Miguel will grab one of your roots or whatever dangles on and just grip it. He doesn't have super strength or anything, but if he had, then that would be bad for you.
This is one of the first shows since the incident, definitely the biggest show, and by far the closest to what Magma was like. So it is definitely bringing back memories for you, Miguel. You look out onto the stage, and instead of a skinny punk singer, you see the sinuous beauty of El Phoenix, of Marisol, as she belts out the tunes. And then we cut to Dr. Maxwell Mannheim. It's getting dark. The sun is going down. But you are being pulled into a seat. Of course, GA is far too chaotic. But you have ended up here at this concert at the invite of a few of your colleagues. Dr. Ogden, as well as Professor Highgate, both decided that this would be a fun outing. This is
that sounds wonderful. I do love a bit of music.
Professor Highgate ends up sitting between you and Dr. Augie Ogden, the head of the history department, and your friend, right? Yeah, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know. And Professor Highgate, who you've written here, is teaches comparative religion and ignores your clumsy flirtations. And she ends up sitting between the two of you, and I think she has popcorn. That just seems like a thing that she would do.
Um, and they're quite loud, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Yes, she reaches and pulls out like a little bit of she's got these little waxy earplugs that she's put in.
Oh, that
well,
was
it's-
very smart.
Oh, yes, you can't share them.
No.
And Dr. Ogden says, yes, it's unsanitary.
Thank you, Augie.
You know, wax in the ears reminds me of, and he starts to launch into some history thing, a historical incident about, and yeah, then the music just comes and you can't exactly hear what he's saying, but he's continuing to talk. Do you ignore the music, or do you, with this opportunity, you can actually look at Professor Highgate while pretending to listen to him if you want.
I think I'll nod towards Augie as he's going, and then I'll kind of give a little side look at Professor Highgate. And I might even be a little informal and kind of lead in. Amanda, he's going to go on for quite a little while.
She smiles, nods. Yes, I know. Now, let me ask you a question about your relationship with Hearn. Is it you're afraid that Hearn might take over? You are Hearn, but Hearn's instincts are the thing that might take over?
No, I'm afraid Hearn might take. I'm afraid that in the balance at the moment, I have the advantage. I choose when Hearn comes out. My worry is that I may have less options on when Hearn comes out.
I see. Now, and this is me, GM, talking to you, Tyler. Yeah. Are you interested in playing Maxwell and Hearn 100% of the time you flip the switch, or is Hearn occasionally a voice in your head until you let forth and then you embody?
Absolutely a voice in my head, and maybe in time of stress there might be that like Banner Hulk thing of, okay, if you're falling from the skyscraper, Hulk's gonna take over before we hit, sort of thing.
I felt that from what you were talking, but I wanted to check in and make sure that you're cool with that. So you mention to Professor Highgate about he's going to keep going on, and she smiles, and it's a really nice smile. It's not fake at all. It's a genuine, heart melting smile. Like, oh man, there's a lot of good chemistry. Like, whew, this is good stuff. And she smiles and laughs about that, and she doesn't interrupt him. She doesn't stop him. And as you're caught in that moment of your friend and your current interest, you hear Hearn's voice. He says, Maxwell.
Not now.
Someone is going to die, Maxwell.
And I think there's kind of that where I was smiling and trying to ignore. It kind of goes into a stony blank. What do you mean?
I feel something of death is coming. Let me take over.
Give me a moment. Amanda.
Yes.
The popcorn is very salty. I'm going to get a drink. Would you like one?
Oh, yes, a water, please. They charge so much. Are you sure?
Of course, I have it.
And Augie's like, I'll tell you. I'll catch you up with the story when you get back.
Thank you, Augie. And I'm going to make my way towards somewhere that looks a bit shadowy and not as filled with people.
Awesome. I don't think that's escaping from peril. I think maybe you should assess the situation. You're looking for something in specific, right?
Oh, but I'm good at escape.
You rolled with a genius plus confidence. Your confidence is at 0. Everybody's at 0. There's a part of me that wants to affect Askiro's confidence right now, but
Yeah, for me too. Me too.
yeah, let's just give you a -1 on confidence because of how you described that situation.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead
fine.
and do that.
That's
thing.
fair.
And as a note,
That's
when you
fair.
change confidence, trust, team, any of those, you change it on the characters tab, but I have everything pointing towards those characters tab, so it'll all update. Yes. Blossom's confidence is at 0. Yes. Cool. So Hearn, your genius is, oh goodness, I believe you're mistaken because your genius is a -1.
Oh, yes, it's quite terrible. That's why I would have rather escaped danger. So that's a 6.
That sounds like it's XP on a miss here, is it not, Jen? It sounds like you get an XP.
Woohoo!
So you're looking around, you try to find a place in the shadows where you can go. And I think it's, oh God, this is a terrible cue. Do you remember Batman 66 when Batman has the bomb? Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
yes.
Yeah, okay, he has the bomb and he runs over and it's like, no, he runs over here. Like,
sometimes.
I love that scene. It is so bad. It's so funny. I think it's a moment where you go near where there's some shadows and then you see, oh, there are a couple of college kids making out. And then you head over this other area and some people come out and like one guy and you're still looking for a place to do this. And we'll cut away from you. You still have yet to find a place to manifest as Hearn the Hunter. When we cut to bam, Theo Sinnock, you have made it to the front. The press of human bodies has you fixed. No one's mashing into you as one person. There are people who are trying to jostle away to not crush you. Rory is leaning over the like guardrail thing, and she's just so into this. Like, it's not just the band, it's the full experience. She's not a super fan of Golgol, but this is a great moment. And her hair is just hanging down in clumps because she's sweat soaked. It's so hot here in this place. Like, they don't even have any fans. And there are occasionally those guards that walk out in that gully, you know, the moat of security. But she's as close as you could possibly get. And you're right there with her. What are you doing?
Yeah, there's a little rumble in my throat for a moment. I'm like, Rory, I lean over and, you know, practically shouted into her ear, do you want some air?
What?
And then I'm just like, you up here?
Oh man, she nods excitedly there, and she kind of will climb behind you, and some more people fill in that space that she's just vacated. And it takes a little finagling, but pretty quickly she's able to get up onto your shoulders. How, I imagine, as Theo, like, are you bigger than Rory? Are you taller? Are you
Oh
able to
yeah,
hold her pretty
yeah.
easily?
Theo's nearly 6 feet tall. She is a tall lady.
Nice.
And she was relatively athletic and jockey before becoming Shinnok, right? Like, she was on a college fencing team. Like, she doesn't own a car. She has a motorcycle. She needs to get a second motorcycle because reasons. I promise it's practical and not just N+1 syndrome. So yeah, no, it is not necessarily also a like remarkable new surprise that Theo can do this for Rory. Maybe in this situation it's kind of a stretch, but meh.
You make the offer, you seem genuine. Rory's not going to question it. She's not the kind of person to say, "Are you sure?" If you say a thing, she just, "Yep, that's the thing we're doing."
Yep.
And so she's up on your shoulders, and you're occasionally swaying with the crowd as they move. And the lead singer of Golgo comes out, and he motions to you too at some point, like, he's singing to you. He's not asking you to come up, but it's
fun.
fun?
That's
Is
yeah,
it
it's
fun?
fun. It's fun.
Nice.
So fun. There's so much energy, man. It's definitely fun. I think that Theo's overstimulated, but like in the good way. You're muted, Rich.
Why did I mute myself in the middle of a conversation? We cut to Miguel up in the rafters, and there are 4 people who are walking away together. They have obviously been controlled. It's starting all over again. Miguel, what do you do?
Okay, I need to get myself back together. I will point that out.
They're marching like puppets.
I
All
will
4
point
of
this
them.
out to Blossom because I don't trust my senses here. I will say, Blossom, do you see these people? Do you see what I see? Are they weird?
I'll follow where
are they
she's
weird?
pointing or looking.
Are they
Cool.
weird?
And your eyes scan across, and you see. Do they know Rory? By the way, Theo, do these folks know Rory?
Time for my
Conflict.
decider friend. Yes, they do.
Okay. You've recognized Rory, kind of middle, or not middle, but front middle, and catch. Oh wait, that's Theo. And then you scan across to where Miguel is pointing, and there are a few people who slipped off to the side.Ey're standing near the speakers and then ambling away. Maybe they're going for a smoke or just to get away from things. Doesn't look weird to you at all. Just looks.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, are you sure? I mean,
No, I nearly died here. I'm not my best here.
we'll check it out.
Good. Yeah, we should. We should.
Blossom, you realize that you got to leave this nice, safe area where nobody but someone who knows you as you, nobody else can see you. And you're about to go down into that. That is thousands, tens of thousands of people.
I think it's, I have to choose between my shoes or Oscura's, and I think Oscura is more in need at the moment. So
I think I need to assess the situation before we go down there.
Okay.
Because I might make a mistake here, and I don't
You
want
might.
to do that. And so I will trust in the roll.
Okay.
Now, can I give I'm trying to remember if there was a +1 mechanic
It's
or
team,
a
right?
helping.
There is as I double check. Is there team? I don't think there's team.
I mean, we have
There's team for
team
like
of
battles,
2.
I believe.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was a
Jen, help me out. Helping.
Teamwork. Helping. There's
Coordinated effort, but that's in a team. That's in a
Mhm.
battle or
No,
conflict.
that's not what I need.
yeah. There's not really teamwork.
Okay.
Teamwork is for large things.
Okay.
Fictionally,
If you have,
I'm giving you moral support.
That's
if
nice.
Doesn't need
Yes.
to be
if you
mechanical.
have somebody as a touchstone,
You can do. Yeah, you can lean on
Yeah.
that. You can also use them as a touchstone, even if they're not physically present. Right? Like the
I do
inspiration-
have the Johnny Cash Stadium as a
Yeah,
as a touchstone.
This is the perfect time.
you have
for
the
to do it.
Spider-Man moment where
Right,
you're like, I gotta
right.
do it for Aunt May and Mary Jane.
No, it's not on May and Mary Jane, but yeah, sure. I will use that touchstone
Okay.
because I mean, how often do I get to be here?
How
Hopefully
often?
not all the time.
100% of the time so far in this game, but
Yes,
probably
well,
after
I'll
this.
cross that out. So I'm rolling with +1 because I've got a genius of 1. I've got a confidence of -1.
Mhm.
And
You
I've
spend a
got the
touchstone to get another
touchstone.
+1. All right. Good luck.
I think I've got the perfect question here.
Excellent.
7. So
Oof.
it's
There's
okay.
one
because
question is that use of the
is-
touchstone
that
was
is-
perfect.
yes, and that is not one question, that's two questions because I'm a
It
master of
is.
observations.
Oh, very
Remember?
cool. Nice
Yes.
move.
Uh-huh. That's why I'm using the assess the well, okay, I think I will start out with actually my my master of observation, because I can ask one additional question, and yeah, we'll let you shift one of my tracks by one, because I want to ask whatever question, and whatever question is, can I trust my senses? Is this really what's happening? What I'm thinking is going on? Are they really under someone's control there? Do my spirits tell me that there is something going on? Or am I just imagining that because of my trauma?
I will shift one of your tracks.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think just because I want to get some of the use out of the tracks and stuff, I'm going to shift your trust down by one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the spirits inform you that this is a trick in your mind, that mastermind is not here, that
Okay.
the people are not safe, but they are not being controlled.
Okay. And that leads me to the second question. What here is the biggest threat?
What here is the biggest threat?
Mhm.
There is a contingent of Atlanteans who are here. They're all near each other, kind of clustered together in the general audience, like the main floor of the stadium. And among them, you recognize, I'm not sure how you know Makeda, but Makeda, the former despot of Atlantis, who has been exiled from her home and now lives in Atlantica City. But she's here with some larger Atlanteans who kind of ringed around her, and she's watching the music, but she's definitely the biggest threat. And anywhere she goes, usually trouble follows.
Good to know. Okay, I will stop and look at Blossom's head. My mind is playing tricks on me. I'm sorry. But do you see that one of the Atlanteans over there? I'm not to be xenophobic or anything, but she's the deposed monarch, and I don't know if she's really into the music. Maybe keep an eye on her.
You think there's going to be an attack?
I don't know. That place is cursed. I wish it were anywhere else.
I'll step aside. I'll trust your judgment. Do we need?
Thank you. It's more than I can say for myself, but yeah, I better get this out. And I reach down to my equipment style thingy, and I get out my guitar. It's a very narrow guitar, right? It's a bit spiky. It's an electric guitar. I use it to control my elementals, my spirits. But and I probably pull just a hoodie over my face because my costume is not that elaborate, right?
Nice. Yeah, so you throw your costume on, you've got your guitar. What do you want to do, Oscuro?
Keep an eye on the situation. Unless Blossom wants to do something.
You were given a reprieve. Oscuro, Miguel backed off from asking you to head down there to those people.
Yeah. I'm perched. I'm ready. Well, I'm psyching myself up to be ready to leap into action and trying to kind of ignore the images of me landing in the middle of the crowd and everyone turning around and, assuming that I am the attack.
Blossom, what's your history with Makeda? Oscuro doesn't seem, or Miguel doesn't seem to know if you know who that person is, but you know her. have you met in Little Mars?
Yeah, I think there is like a little Mars does have a Atlantean community,
Mhm.
and most of the aliens know to stay out of that kind of. Is almost like a organized crime / gang presence within
Mhm.
Little Mars, and they definitely throw their weight around a bit in there. So I think they may even have. I think there's even a few aliens mixed in with the Atlantean gang.
Ah, an Atlantean gang. I like
Yeah,
that.
I mean that's kind of the feel of it in Little Mars. I mean, how organized and more and official kind of behind the scenes they are. Who knows? I mean, I don't hang around with those. Whenever
Nice.
I've kind of come across them, I've kind of just okay, not my business. I've
Nice.
stepped out of
And
it.
I think specifically there was a moment when you were at Ulu's, and
Mhm.
Ulu's is this diner where everyone eats outside because Ulu's inside doing however he makes the food, right? And she and her gang rolled up, and the gang just started kind of asking people to leave. Did you?
No, Ulu's always treated me really well, and yeah, I'm not gonna. I definitely like if they're just like pushing through and being a bit bully, but if they're like upping that, I'm not gonna
Okay.
just leave Ulu alone with that.
And since we're talking past tense, I think what
Yeah.
happened was they maybe shoved the table, talked to a few people. These are thuggish members of the gang, and other people started to find other things to go, grab their food to go, but you decided to stay. And when one of them rudely told you to go and you just said you're not going to, they went over, they talked to Makeda, and she just gestured like, that's fine, that's fine. And then she had her meal and just ate her meal, enjoyed it, and then left, and they all followed. But there was definitely this aura of menace,
Mm.
and that aura of menace is here now with that crew that Miguel just pointed out to you. We cut to Maxwell, and you finally found a place to transform. And I have to know, what's our transformation sequence like when Maxwell becomes Hearn the Hunter?
So I think I found this dark place, and I heard you're certain something is afoot.
We will only find the corpse now, fool.
Watch it. Fine. And I sort of kneel down and reach towards my side. And as I start to stand back up, there's this horn that forms in my hand. As my body expands up, it reaches my lips, and the blast of the horn of the wild hunt is sounded. And there is a bit of a sound of braying hounds as Hearn the Hunter stands there in all of his glory at about 7'5".
That's awesome. And by his side is this giant Irish wolfhound, right?
I don't think I can summon him to me.
Okay.
He's
all
my
right.
real dog with me right at the
He's
house.
a real dog.
I think
Okay.
back at home, he perks up, and Mrs. Caldwell goes, "Oh, somebody would like a treat, eh?"
That's awesome. I love it.
Dog is like, silence, woman, the hunt calls. Not really. He's more like, yes, please, treat.
Yes, please, treat.
Like a
moment.
real dog.
Yeah, I guess. Sweet. So Hearn, you finish the transformation. You manifest as the great being, the paragon.
And Rich, kind of in contrast here, because I think I'll be in my head as well, feel free to also be Maxwell in Hearn's head.
Ooh, neat. Okay. Thank you for that permission. I appreciate it. Hearn, you follow the scent that you knew, that you understood, that you felt on a native way, and get outside of the stadium. You head out to the parking lot, and you find you're the first to come upon the scene. There are, of course, streetlights and lamps. Lamps. It's bright out here, so someone else will come upon this very soon. But what you see is a body, a person, lying in the middle of two rows of cars, and there's blood pooling around his head, and there's no one else standing around. What do you do?
Is he dead?
He looks dead.
And I think I'm casting out my super hearing to see if I can hear footfalls or anyone moving nearby.
Use your senses, your supernatural senses, try to reach out to find anyone that's running away. There are some people here heading out to the parking lot, but you don't hear the quick footfalls of anyone trying to escape. Just the sound of the music still blasted nearby in the wind.
I will lean down and put my hand on his head and sort of look to see if I could see what type of blow was struck or what caused the head wound.
What caused the head wound? Is it? Let's get it to a roll, because I think.
Okay.
Let's have you, as a genius that you are, assess the situation.
Yeah, that's what I do. So I will be rolling. I'm rolling my 2d6. Oh crud! I got a 6 again.
Awesome. You realize this person died from impact. There are some bruises on their body, but you'd need to kind of pull up close to check it more closely. But it looks like some blunt trauma. The asphalt itself is what killed him. And then you hear a gasp from behind you as some people have come up. Looks like a couple.
Get back,
guys.
mortals. There has been a murder here.
And I'm curious, what is the public opinion of Hearn the Hunter?
I think it's a little mixed. He probably has a bit of a vigilante streak to him.
That's the vibe I got. I just want to make sure that we were on the same page. Okay.
I imagine there are a lot of folks who are really big on the idea of he does track down people who did things, and his vengeance is not gentle.
Okay. So one of the guys grabs the other guy, and he steps kind of protectively in front of him.
Call the police.
And the person who is a little more afraid is fishing out the cell phone in his pocket and quickly making a call.
I'll
We'll
reach.
cut it. No,
No,
sorry. Yeah, give us
I reach down to the blood and pull it up to my nose and smell it. And then I streak it down my cheek.
Oh my God, that's not spooky at all.
As I look to the body and say, I will find who did this. The hunt cannot be denied.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Damn, that feels like a end of issue moment right there. Yeah. That's great. I don't. Cool. That will end our issue. Do we have any post game stuff? I don't recall if there were any post game things mechanically. I don't think so, Jen, but I just want to double check. I don't want to miss it. All right. Sweet. Friends, let's do a quick round of some stars and wishes. I will, of course, go with stars to all of you for allowing me to run this game for you. I haven't run a Supers game in a while, and I'm real excited. So thank you for that. Who'd like to go first with? Oh, there is an end of session? Oh, okay. What's our end of session?
Check it out. It's in the B plot moves tab.
All
At the
right.
end of session, take a moment to reflect on how the events of the game went, what big changes happened or seemed to be on their way. Now, it might be good to skip end of session for this because as you read through it, you're like, wait a minute. Yeah, this is not quite enough has happened yet.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's keep that in mind for future sessions, and we'll definitely be hitting that on a routine basis. You're right. That is some cool, juicy questions, but I didn't get us far enough into much for those to be answered very well.
We hung out doing setup, and that was fine.
Good. Cool. All right. So let's do some wishes. Who'd like to go? We start with wishes so that we can end with stars. Wishes are, this is a thing that I definitely want to happen in future sessions. Wishes could also be, could you clarify X or Y, or could you change this particular thing? Who'd like to go first with
I got
wishes?
a one wish. I
Yes.
wish I'd gone through the B plot moves again and refreshed myself, because I would have definitely aimed for offering support to Oscuro.
Oh, I wish I had thought of that as well. That would have been cool.
I mean, I looked through the main, or however it's termed, the other moves, the basic moves, but I did not think to check through the B plot moves, and
Oh, they can mark
regrets.
XP.
Yeah.
Nice.
I wish for more of this, more session, and get to interact with all the other characters.
Yes, that's definitely going to happen.
There we go.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. Would like to go next for wishes.
Yeah, I'll just echo what Alex said. I also wish we had checked the B plot moves, because I remember that they were all very good. And yeah, I mean, I might actually go and ground myself next time, but probably not. Anyway, what I wish for, I want to have an action scene, basically. That would be nice. And then what I would wish for is a denouement scene with everybody in maybe a bar or something, to just talk about what happened. That is my basic wish, but we need the action scene before that. So.
All right. Thank you very much, Sabine. Jen or Tyler, who'd like to go next with wishes?
I'll hit real quick because, I wish more. I'm so excited. This is all wonderful. I'm very looking forward to filling out more of it. And I suppose if I have any bit of a pointed wish, I loved seeing some of the touchstones for everybody coming in. So I'd like to see kind of early on, let's see those relationships get out there and into play. Maybe not used, but so we can kind of define characters with
Cool.
those. Those are fun.
Good. I'm glad that you enjoyed that. I was able to sneak a few in, but I will keep going. A human dish, edible to humans. Yes, thank you, Alex, for the reminder.
I think we decided it was French fries.
Yes, I remember that from the video.
Yep.
All right, Jen, your feedback is always the one that I worry. Oh, am I doing it all wrong? Is she gonna explain me? What are
You
your wishes?
fool! You have misread the glorious intent of my design. No, it's fine. Any wishes? I mean, I want to see more of it. I want to see scenes with these characters together. I want to see more touchstones popping up. What else? Any big wishes? Yeah, nothing else super leaps to mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went last with wishes. You get to go first with stars. Do you have any stars to hand out to your fellow players?
Of course. Oscuro's terrible pain. I feel bad for Oscuro. So thank you, Sabine, for adding a lot of genuineness to what is still kind of a melodramatic thing, but just because it's melodramatic doesn't mean it's not sincerely felt. So that's been very fun to go into and see. I love Blossom like going to the concert and then being like, yeah, but what if I hide from everybody instead?
Okay, Nana, I'll do it. Hide.
Yep.
Good.
I'm enjoying the split between Hearn and Maxwell. That's going very well so far. I can't wait to see how Rich characterizes Maxwell in Hearn's head.
Yeah,
And
looking forward to that
I'm
too.
sure
Now that
that's
I know
going
I
to
get
create
to.
a dynamic that changes as both Tyler and Rich get settled in. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel like that's going to have a lot of strength. What else? No, I am enjoying where this is going, and I want to see more.
Good. So Tyler, you're next up with stars.
Oh, unbelievable stars for all of this. I love the setup of the city. These characters are fascinating and wonderful. Sabine, our emo hero, is so wonderful. I love it's like, it's tragic. Oh shit, there's so much tragic underneath it. Oh, it's just tragic all the way down. There's lots of neat things from the surface then to the mother, and it's wonderful. And I love the character. I can't wait to interact with them, both as Maxwell and as Hearn. I adore Blossom. I think there's something really kind of sweet, but also very sad. And I really believe that there will be an opportunity to commiserate together. That is going to be a lot of fun. I like seeing Theo interacting with other people in such a real way. It was, again, we're seeing these touchstones define a character, seeing you with someone, and there was no heroic to it. It was just nice to see this is the person, and it already just clicks in so real, such a nice personification right off the bat. You always give such solid characters, and that's the way you make sure that character is right there for us to play off of. It was beautiful, really well done. And Rich, I think you went in and just dug the dagger. We're going to have it here at the stadium, so we got all sorts of horrible flashbacks and traumas to deal with here. Lovely. Oh, by the way, Hearn, I did try and do an accent because he's actually speaking in ancient Celtic and no one really knows what that sounds like. He
Nice.
tries to talk a little different when he talks to people.
I love it. That's awesome. Keep it up. I am here for slightly odd accents. It makes me happy. I'm going to be doing at least a couple slightly odd accents. Just keep your ears peeled for things that will offend you because I'm bad at accents, but I'm not going to stop because it's fun. Sabine, you're up next for stars.
Yeah, sorry, you made me think of a wish. I wish to hear more of your terrible accents, Rich. That sounds awesome. Stars for all around. This was a good setup session. I love to learn more about Blue Orchid. He seems like exactly what this kind of group needs. A bit of real idealism, the starry-eyed kind of goodness in the mix. Yeah, and otherwise stars to Theo for going to a concert with her girl. Is she your current girlfriend or your ex-girlfriend, or is that an unclear status?
For me, I think I was gonna flip, but then I was like, hold on, I thought about this before the game. I think that it's more interesting for me if we're in an off again status.
Okay, yeah, that's
Oh,
that
interesting. So an
makes
off again, but she invited you to this concert, and
so you might go on to an so you're hoping. Oh, I like the
Yeah,
dynamics of
like maybe an important part of why I haven't told her about Shinnok is because we haven't seen each other in a couple of months because we've been separated for some time.
see that
that's
is
cool.
that is very cool. Yeah, that's interesting. And
Good choice.
and I love Maxwell and is him running around trying to find a shady spot where he can change into her and the hunter. And then we have this montage that was pretty epic. I liked it. So yeah, can't wait to interact with him and try to stop him from ripping apart some people. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, that will go well, I'm sure. And the big star to Blossom for being there. Yeah, for basically Miguel and basically putting her own interests behind the whole thing, and I love the dynamic the two of them had, right?
Yeah.
That was, and big star to you, Rich, for putting poor Miguel exactly where he doesn't. I'd say where he doesn't want to be. Wanted to be there. He had to try to do aversion therapy that works so well for PTSD, I'm sure. But well, he's trying, and now this comes up, and this can only go right. This can only go great. He's already close to being overwhelmed by the whole thing. I love it. I'm so there for it. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you, star to you, just to slip it in, Sabine, for like suggesting it, because I was going to make you be there because I knew it would be a traumatic thing, but I was excited when you jumped in and volunteered for it. That made me so very happy. So thank you for that, Sabine. Alex, do you have any stars? Oh, you're talking up.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I like that it's basically the same thing that Sabine said. You put Blossom in a situation which was like, oh my god, this is horrendous. But then you also gave her a reason to kind of hold together a bit, and somebody who this is even worse a situation for to be in.
Yeah,
so,
that was great. That was a great 1-2 punch of I have to go. I'm actually here. I'm climbing up and I'm hiding in the rafters.
Yeah.
That Alex was so fun.
I really liked all the use of the touchstones to kind of just added a lot of very quickly added texture to all the characters. Like even it was just like a very quick moment of like you having the Nana kind of
I liked it, man.
Forced me into it. Yeah, and all around. I really enjoyed kind of skirting around the issue, skirting around the backstory of Oscar with Blossom up there, but not really kind of saying I know, or even really trying to hint at knowing, but just like okay, yeah, this must be a really shit situation for him. I don't know why. Well, no, I know why, because the delivery was great, but just the every time Maxwell referred to Oggy, just the delivery of it was yeah. I mean, that was like I love that from both sides. Just the telling of describing him Oggy just going on and saying, I'll catch you up on the story afterwards. Don't worry, I'll catch you up when you missed. Thank you, Oggy. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, and just just the kind of very human little kind of sweet with Theo and character name
Rory.
Rory.
It's all good. There's a lot of characters we threw out in the first session. A lot.
And also, like you said, at the end of the kind of action, the her and the hunters, dabbing of the blood across the face was, yes, that was the moment where we fade to black and the credits roll for the first time.
That was so good.
And I
Wow.
imagine,
Strong.
in my head, that couple, they were just still there as he's dabbing the blood and standing up and probably even like facing in their direction, but not looking at them. He's like looking off towards destiny and purpose.
Yeah, those poor guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a great start to end on.
Yeah.
Just that image.
Yeah, I love how metal and spooky Hearn is. I'm here
Yeah,
for
I
it.
want to know what the song was that played over the credits.
Oh, it's like a
the
guitar
first-
lick of some kind.
Yeah, the first strums of the guitar were happening as he's saying it, and then then it fades to black, and the music really kicks in.
One of the things I really like about this cast that you guys have created is that so first I'll say the thing and then I'll talk about a thing that it makes is the different tones that each of these playbooks and the way that you create your characters, each of the tones that we have grief and guilt, we have the question of your own sanity and control, you have the loss of body autonomy and a bit of body horror, you have the idea of legacy and responsibility and a mantle, and all of those are really, really interesting and very different. Like they almost exist on different poles. It reminds me of an article I once read about why Teen Titans, the original Marv Wolfman comic, was so cool, is that you could have all of those. You've got Raven with her horror stuff. You got Batman or Robin with the Batman legacy. Like you guys are hitting a lot of those similar touchstones.
Also, it overlaps as well a lot.
Yes. It's like you guys can mix and match, and it doesn't seem jarring.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's one thing that can be, if you go too far to the extremes, then you get the like, why is Superman running around with this like total podunk street level hero? Their scales are wrong, their ideals are wrong, but you guys can mix and match pretty well.
We all seem really of the same world.
Yeah, I like it. And I think you guys did a great job of creating characters that, while like three of them are very human and like human mysticism and human ideas, I think those different parts of the triangle that I talked about before, especially with Blossom and the alien stuff, and then with the Atlanteans, I'm excited to see how those things mix and interact. And I'm quite happy with the world that we have all created and exploring it further together. But I could go on, and I shan't, because we are at time. Thank you all so much for playing. And thanks to everybody for watching. We'll bring this recording to a close.